This might sound a bit cliche, but just now, let me clean my nose. Okay, this might sound a bit cliche, but there's an art to almost everything. Where did I get this from? Well, whether you're actually creating art, making a sandwich, shopping from lowest to highest, or evading taxes, there's an art to it. Copying, Throughout the years, I've been back and forth with the idea just because I don't know exactly how to feel about it. Or more so, my opinions on it changes frequently because as more context arises and the consensus I developed in my head is shrewd, I'm kinda left with something of a husk of my previous strong emotions towards this topic. Alright, anyways, first I want to start with what encompasses the world of copying and eventually conclude with why copying is necessary or is a necessary part of human development, both academical, artistic and interpersonal, or something like that. Mean trying to be deep or anything like that. So what is copying? Simple definition: the imitation or replication of one's work. That's about it. It can be copied in its entirety or a specific aspect of it can be copied. Copying is really like a salsa dance on a tightrope of ethics and success. First off, I don't know anything about dancing. Like, I have 3 left feet. So that's the first and last time I'll make a reference towards anything pertaining to dancing. However, the way copying is perceived drastically changes as you drift from one field to another. Take your university experience if you had one. Copying is not encouraged by the establishment, and being caught can result in minor or drastic penalties. But within the underworld of university life, the real scum and adhesive of tertiary education, copying is a fundamental tool used to drag you out of the gutter of situations. Even on the more accepted front, the preparation of a research project, a major portion of gathering information and understanding the direction to take in your study is, well, copying. Understanding past scholar articles and research papers conducted by previous students targeting the same field you wish to explore, paving a way in what methods are most successful for certain results. Legible format, consistent results, and parsimonious literature for all to understand. Everything is copied for the most part, but it's only shunned in certain fields or within certain methods. Letting you know from early that this video will follow a similar format to the previous video that I made. Some may say I'm copying it. No, wasn't smart. Yeah, I'll try again. Copying is somewhat of a taboo topic where fashion is concerned from my perspective. The execution and feedback tends to be more important than the actual act of copying itself. But I feel like that could be said for a lot of things and not just fashion. People like seeing similar elements and influences in new creations but combined with techniques that was not previously used together. Many designers are of the belief that you can only find yourself and creative direction from first copying those that influence you and your initial stages of growth. Yohji Yamamoto, legendary designer, let me repeat that one more time. Yohji Yamamoto, legendary designer, once said in an interview, "I would like to shout to young people, especially young designers or young students, simply be yourself, you're okay, and start copying what you love. Copy. And at the end of the copy, you will find yourself." It sounds loaded and overly dramatic, but there is truth to that statement. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable enough to admit and accept that this person inspires you to the point that you wish to replicate their work then opens the door for critical analysis, resulting in changes to the pieces from a functional improvement standpoint, structural point of view, or any other aspect of change that can arise from pulling from what you appreciate. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. There's a vivid rift between acceptable and unacceptable poo-poo brands that practice copying. A lot of fashion as of recent, one that comes to mind is Raf Simons. The biggest piece from them that caught a lot of attention was the Raf Simons bomber jacket from the Riot collection, and a soon-to-be released Rick Owens GeoBasket bootleg, which ironically the original GeoBaskets were also heavily copied or influenced by the Nike Dunks. It's just a spiraling cycle of copying to create new products. Bootleg garments has been surprisingly on the rise in the past year and a half. Maybe more, maybe less, I don't know. But it's interesting to see the narrative change on replicas, and this isn't anything new. Replicas and bootlegs have always been a thing, especially from China, the China market, the China flea market, is that it? Chinatown flea market, that's it. That was big a couple years ago. Bootlegs aren't anything new. Even, of course, there can't be a video on copying and replicas and bootlegs without mentioning the great Virgil Abloh. Whatever personal opinions you have on him based on accusations and actual proof of sneaky nigga activity committed by him in the past, he is a vocal advocate, a champion of copying, with an additional small percentage of alteration resulting in a new product, stating, "My greatest design tool personally is to look at what that genre is doing and make it 3 to 5% different." In a way, it's trolling. You will never catch me getting overly emotional against someone that is completely or mostly transparent with their actions and philosophy. From the original designer's standpoint, I feel like everyone should be entitled to their own opinions, especially as circumstances and scenarios all impact people differently. It sounds profound, but it's simple. I don't know why niggas can't just understand that. One thing can happen and 10 different people can feel 10 different ways about the same exact thing. I could rob someone for their money to feed my children, take care of my sickly mother, or to fuel my apple juice addiction, whichever one takes highest priority, and fully believe I am right in my cause. Whereas another person, the person that got robbed, could want me on a stake, and they are also right on their side. Honestly, I do feel that the people overly invested or mostly emotionally driven where copying is concerned are either extremely devoted fans or people who have never tried making something before. And yes, I understand. If you see something 100% copied or like very, 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 very closely copied to something that you put hours of concepts and thoughts and intellectual effort, I don't know, behind creating this thing just for somebody to come and snatch it, mostly as a creator, you're gonna get 100% pissed. Yeah, you're gonna lose your shit and like start kicking niggas. However, creating a concept and sample from new will immediately humble you if that is something that you've done before. It will immediately humble you about the process of creation, and this could be music, art, fashion, anime, or a research project. Rick Owens has every right to be upset by Ruff Simmons, just as Jerry Lorenzo had every right to be upset at Minimal the way that he was. In the same way, Nike went on at Rick Owens and other recent brands for copying the SB Dunk silhouette. It's, it is what it is. Once again, I'm looking at some other fields of art and entertainment. Copies can take the form of typically anime tropes or the flow of a particular genre of anime. Looking at isekai, a genre of anime centered around the main protagonist usually dying in a physical world or at least being transported from their physical world to another alternate universe, either a video game or very closely follows a video game-like structure. Typically adventure-based, and main protagonist is for the most part coupled with a harem of women that adore him for whatever average reason. If you're not really into anime, the two things that I could kind of pinpoint that follows what an isekai would kind of be like is Digimon and Dragon Tales. The premise is usually very similar. The storylines can be predictable. The role and strength of the main protagonist, the power dynamic of the world transported to, and the personality of the supporting cast. Regardless of this, creators have found a way to copy the typical tropes of a genre of anime, but present it in a refreshing way that appeals to customers. Jujutsu Kaisen can be seen as a perfect mashup of Bleach and Naruto. That's just my opinion. The entire shonen genre of anime is actually rinse and repeat of the same protagonist striving for a very particular goal that requires them to be the strongest of them all. A hidden power that comes in at the right time when needed and shouts and screams when entering the battle. But regardless of this, it remains enticing and desired by a rapidly growing fan base. Just because a product bears resemblance or elements copied from another, it does not diminish the unique twist, perspective, characters, setting, or philosophy that a developer can bring. Jujutsu Kaisen is a great example of the benefits of copying or pulling intense inspiration from previous works of art. The plot goes like this: a protagonist without parents, sounds familiar, insane physical strength, who eventually acquires latent superhuman abilities from a demonic presence trapped in his body. Sounds familiar again. And he serves a society that exercises these spiritual beings, all while the same system he serves would like him dead. Sounds familiar again. However, that does not take away from the incredible experience and unique perspective this show can bring. I think a large part of that is understanding what came before you, what it was great at and what it failed at, and why was it good or bad at executing those things, and taking elements of successes and learning from and improving on the missteps. Basketball and I feel like sports typically reward high efficient copying. You start with MJ, then you look at Kobe, then Kyrie, then Devin Booker, all praised because of their athletic resemblance to another great player. You look at Steph Curry, Dame, and what they kind of see within Trae Young. You look at Donovan Mitchell and the exact copy or the exact new age resemblance that he has to Dwayne Wade. And you look at Magic Johnson, you look at LeBron James and Ben.
Jazz is the only real music's gonna last. All that other bullshit is here today and gone tomorrow. But jazz...
Musicians seem to be, and I use the word seem because I don't know these niggas, heavily sensitive and cautious with the music they create and what form of copying or influence is allowed. Everything from drum patterns to flows, content, delivery, and performance can be emulated by other musicians and performers. Sampling, a big, thicky part of creating music, can either be straight up taking the same chorus from before and adding some drums to it, interpolating parts of the song that was not a core component of the original song before and making it a core component of the new song, only taking one portion of the beat such as the keys, the flute, or I don't know, guitar strums or something, or recreating the same song, keeping the same concept, the same beat, the same chorus. This is just the equivalent of taking an essay someone else has made and changing a few words, adding some furthermores, some therefores, and henceforths for flair, and sprinkling a little bit of sentence manipulation. Instead of the boy went to the shop was entered by the boy, of some bullshit like that. An effective way of copying can even be pulling from outside of your desired field. Something that comes to mind is an interview Knight did on Genius. I believe he was talking about the creative process of making the Plain Jane beat by A$AP Ferg. Something he said which kind of stuck with me was that anything can be a sample, you don't know. Some of the sampling from that song is, of course, starting with 3-6 Mafia, Slub on My Knob, a television static, the Q Train tracks he was recording while waiting to go home. Another video I was watching about an industrial designer pulling inspiration from the structural silhouette of a building for a chair, and this is something that is very common in fashion actually. I didn't mention it before, but I think I'll save that for a separate video, just the influences of industrial design or like architecture on fashion pieces and garments that we've seen throughout the years. I was really singing Slub on My Knob at the age of 11. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. I didn't know anything about slub. I didn't know anything about knob. All I knew about was corn on a cob, and I don't mean that in a sus way. Yeah. So what exactly am I trying to say in this video? What was the purpose of this video? Copying, more often than not, helps curate the initial ideas of the person fondly interested and accelerates their cultivation of their own style or more methods in doing something. Pulling a piece from 8 things you like and combining it together, the product is now something completely different. You take eggs, you take flour, you take vanilla essence, some baking powder, you take some sugar, you take some cocoa powder, you put it together. It's a cake. It's no longer flour, eggs, sugar, and whatever else I just called just now. There, you understand the point I'm trying to make. Sounds obvious, but copying is natural to us ever since we knew ourselves. We weren't born with the ability to speak, dance, or drink large amounts of alcohol without drowning in a pool of our vomit. All of that was learned or copied by someone else. That is an entire nature versus nurture debate psychologists can't find the answer to, so neither will I. Transparency goes a long way when taking influence from something. Negligence to accept that these components are influencing the product you're creating only results in you making something even closer to the original than intended, because you continuously ran from the idea of copying, so you did not take the necessary measures to fully analyze the influential pieces of work. To do so, you can internalize what exactly it is and where you can make your personal alterations. When you think about it, tasteful copying or influence really is a superpower. Cardi B's Bodak Yellow to Kodak's Black, no flocking. Legendary song, absolutely legendary. I do believe that it really lies in the resolve. Some of my favorite interviews are of the artists and athletes that are transparent enough to admit their influences and how in-depth these previous works played a role in what they create today or what they are able to accomplish today. That's more or less what I have for this video. As I said before, I don't know the definitive direction I want to take with this, but I appreciate the continued support, and the next one will be, I don't know, the fashion and the war on skinny jeans. I don't know. With everything I've said, this has been another video by Nighttime, made in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for watching.